Did you know Asians can read each other's minds? Crazy, huh? Yeah. I'm only about 20% Chinese. That makes you about, 8? So we just gotta try a little harder than the rest. We can still do it if we practice. But yeah, that's why I married a Russian. So she couldn't read my mind, but it turns out that Russians are all part Mongolian. 'Cause Genghis Khan. I would just get a lobotomy when I was your age and sad. They were just handing them out back then. There was this guy in my neighborhood, right next door to the Regretta fella clinic, and he had a needle. He would just stick it in your ear real fast, like sink. Reformat the old hard drive. Grandma said she had to take me there once when my guinea pig died. Says it was the only thing that made me snap out of my manic state of depression. If I was president, I'd bring lobotomies back. It's a shame the beneficial things that they keep from your generation only hurt you guys more. Did you know that when we poop, it goes straight to the Middle East? Yeah. That's where the Ark of the Covenant is. It's this ancient device that can transform poop into oil. So all these rich, wealthy Middle Eastern oil kings are actually collectors of Western shit. It's all the trash we eat that pumps out the good stuff. So they pay off companies like Taco Bell and McDonald's to just keep us pumping out gold. You know? And it all comes full circle because we buy it back from them. It's all an agenda. Man, if only we had our hands on that kind of technology. We can't go near that device because our teeth will start falling out. But something to do with them being the rightful inheritors of the thing, they have some special immunity to it or something. I'm telling you too much. Don't be surprised if I just disappear. Remember how I told you that Asians can read each other's minds, but because we're only a tad bit Chinese, we gotta try a little harder? Well, I figured it out. So we have to activate the power by doing some sort of synchronized bow, like a Bluetooth speaker. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, now focus. Don't squint too hard. You'll get crow's feet. Mess up your third eye chakra. Okay, what am I thinking? Go. Nothing? Oh, you know what it is? Did you brush your teeth this morning? See, the fluoride in the toothpaste will disrupt your pineal gland, and it'll just throw off our frequencies and vibrations. So it's not gonna work. No, we'll try again next week, but take a break from oral health care for a bit. If your breath gets stink, here, just take these nicotine lozenges, and not only will it help freshen your breath, but the nicotine will help stimulate the Chinese in you, help activate your chi. Did you know that Mongol dandruff is the origin of pumpkin spice? Yeah. Back in the day, Marco Polo used to travel all the way from Europe to Mongolia to visit Kublai Khan. And on his way there, on the Silk Road, he would collect all sorts of spices. And he told the Mongols, hey, use this stuff as shampoo. It's nice. It makes your hair smell real nice. And so Kublai Khan was itching his head one day. And without thinking, he sort of bit his fingernail. And he was like, that doesn't taste bad. It's got a real to it. So every fall, he would send Marco Polo all the way back to Europe with a sack full of dandruff spice. And Marco Polo would just set up a barista in the town square. And all the European women would come around and asked for that spice. And that was Kublai Khan's way of like getting his DNA into all the white women without having to travel too far to conquer them. You're not depressed. It's just the Irish blood in you not knowing how to live in harmony with the Chinese. See, the Irish in you will take something plain like potatoes. Meanwhile, the Chinese want you to do something complicated like turn your starch into a vessel that holds meat, like bao or wontons. Then you got the Hawaiian in you that's upset because salt water makes your skin pinch due to the Irish blood. So it's a whole conundrum, man. You see this tattoo? It's Polynesian. My skin is Irish. It rejected it. I should have got a 4-leaf clover or something. Gotta stick to your skin. Racist? What about logic? He's whiter than my baby teeth. Racist. Did you know our ancestor designed the Great Wall of China? It's more of a tall floor. I don't know, can you walk on walls? And everyone believes it was to keep the Mongols out. It was really to keep the Russians out from stealing their recipes. Have you ever had Russian food? It's like dumplings with sour cream and vinegar. Wontons with potatoes inside. It's incomplete Chinese food. It's like they started to steal the recipes, but then because Sir Ming built the wall, they had to give up halfway through and they worked with what they had. Carrots and pickled fish. And the Mongols get a terrible rep. They go, we'll just say it's for the Mongols because they killed half the world. It was to protect their pride in their food. And nobody wants to talk to you about that or teach it to your generation because they're scared. They're scared. Dude, don't tell me you're getting bullied again. Just take a bagpipe to school already. I got like 7 of them lying around. You just gotta dust them off. What do you mean? You just take a bagpipe to school and walk down the halls playing Scottish the Brave? Yeah, this isn't common knowledge. I'm serious. Excuse me, sir. Sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you ever use a bagpipe to deter bullies in school?
Oh, well, yeah, I'd walk down the halls playing Scottish
the Brave.
Well, yeah, it's the only bagpipe song that anybody
knows. Yes. See?
But you gotta make sure you take a quality bagpipe so it echoes throughout the hall so everyone knows you're not there to play around.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Rome didn't fall because they couldn't decide on their gender roles. That's a myth. It fell because they stole the Ark of the Covenant. They opened it up. Lasers shot everywhere. Same thing happened in Egypt. They got their hands on it. Napoleon figured it out. During the scuffle, they bumped into it, shot a laser right at the Sphinx's nose. Big triangles that everyone's so impressed by. Used to be squares. The lasers gave them a fade. It's crazy. Oh.
Excuse me, sir? Excuse me.
Oh, how's it?
Are you guys discussing the Ark of the Covenant?
Huh?
The Covenant.
Covenants.
The Ark of the Covenant, sir. I couldn't help but overhear.
What is that?
The biblical artifact. The Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, that's what is Ark of the Covenants.
Yes, sir.
Oh, me. I never know that. I never went to kind of Christian school or that.
Oh. Okay, well, there's just been some suspicions raised today, so just,
Yeah, bro, I don't know. I was just picking my nephew up. We're about to go beach like that, bro. Go surf like that.
Oh, okay. Hey, I gotta get out there and surf too.
Yeah, but the weather clearing up like that. You might want to go too, man.
Yeah, catch a big wave while I'm here.
Yeah, it's action, man.
Okay, well, I'll let you two be on your way.
All right, bye.
Aloha.
Okay.
Be safe.
Shoot. I heard they're trying to teach you gay stuff at school now. Well, they always have. Washington crossing the Delaware. That's the gayest story I ever heard in my entire existence. Washington. I remember my dad had to call the school. He said, "Excuse me, miss. I'm trying to raise a Christian family and you teaching them about Washington crossing the Delaware." That's how they would even say it back then. Washington crossed the Delaware River. Gay, bro. It took a while for us to accept it. I mean, we were ignorant back then. And, we've moved on from it. I grew out of that phase. Now it's like, whatever. You gotta learn those kinds of things. Washington crossing the Delaware. To go have mimosas with the Germans and the British. I found somebody who would perform lobotomies on us for cheap. This nurse on Tinder says she'll do it for $50 a pop. That's almost the modern equivalent of what I used to pay for them growing up. Very rare. Apparently, her father's father was a supreme lobotomist. Runs in the family. They passed down their ancient techniques through scrolls. She was showing me the scrolls. We don't have to do like the full-blown procedure if you don't want to. We could do like a microdose version of it, just a quick... That's what your generation's all about, right? Microdose. Microdose everything. Microdose everything because you're scared. Do you know what a carousel is? Me neither. I've heard about it my whole life, but... Hey, excuse me.
Yeah.
Hey.
What?
Do you know what a carousel is?
One circular conveyor.
Pardon?
One merry-go-round.
Merry-go-round. Thank you, man.
Yeah, whatever was. Fucking Tommy.
Just call it a merry-go-round.
Stupid howling.
Nobody knows what a carousel is except for that guy. If you ever feel a little gay, it's because your great-great-grandfather lived in a lighthouse. The phallic architecture has the ability to affect the whole dynasty. So every time I have a thought or two, I just shake my head. Grandpa had to go live in a damn lighthouse. Running around pretending he was the Eye of Sauron or something. Scoping the lands for short guys wearing jewelry. Selfish, living in a damn lighthouse. Did you know that Hitler's insanity stems from him growing up in a windmill? Every time he ordered food for delivery, it was just scattered all across his front yard. It was traumatic. Every time he got home from school, it was like climbing Everest. He had 2 sticks. He would just make his way. That's why he grew that center stash for aerodynamic purposes. So the wind would just... Well, he was just making his way to the front door. Took its toll on him. They don't teach you that in school. They just say, oh, he's just a madman. It's abuse growing up in a windmill. It'll do that to you. Ask your grandpa who lived in a lighthouse. Dolphins communicate verbally, right? So that means they must have regional accents. Like if a Hawaiian dolphin goes to like the American Atlantic, he's probably like, oh, this water's cold, bruh. And then the East Coast dolphin's like, Hey, what's the big idea? Who let these fucking dolphins over here smelling like sunscreen or some shit? Hawaiian dolphins like, it's not our fault we smell like sunscreen, okay? It's these haoles that go over to our ocean, bro. They take sunscreen bath before they hop in the water. The East Coast dolphins like, I never thought about it like that. You've expanded my mind to a whole new plethora of specific regional issues that I was unaware of. Thank you for that. And then they probably become friends or something. That's what I think about that. I know your parents hold it against me that I used to be an alcoholic, but that was a past life. Best decision I ever made was microdose heroin to kick that nasty habit. It's like, I'm not talking about heating it up with a spoon like some sort of junkie. It's like what you do is you put it in a crock pot, low and slow. 6+ hours gets all the bad stuff out. And with the size of the pot, you got enough to microdose like every hour. Every time you get the sudden urge to take a drink. You just scoop it with like a little teaspoon. And instead of looking for the most visible, fattest vein, you look for the smallest one, the tightest tunnel. They don't teach you this stuff because Big Pharma wants you to go to rehab and, spend all your money on their fake drugs, their fake heroin. That's all it is, fake heroin. And it's all an agenda, man. Yeah, I'm better now. Your parents, I believe they need to accept this. I'm driving. I haven't had a DUI in like 8 years. So the proof is in the pudding. The pudding. Pudding. Proof is in the pudding. Pudding. Fuck, I'm tired. I'm tired. Are you tired? Maybe it's the air conditioning. Drying out your eyes. I had an ad in my dreams last night. It was for Zillow. I can't afford a house. My subconscious sure as shit cannot. Thing doesn't even have a job. It's the jobless subconscious. If it does have a job, nobody even knows what it is. Zillow, out of all things. Am I supposed to buy a house in my dream? It's poor campaign management. I don't think I'm the right target audience for that. Did you know that the Roman Colosseum was never actually used for battle? That was the original plan by Emperor Vespasian, but his successor, Titus, was a total sucker for musicals. So no one ever died in that thing, unless it was from being in total awe of the musical spectacle that was being presented. Well, actually, there was one incident where they had invited Da Vinci over to guest star in a musical and present his catapult. And his verse went something like, "This is called a catapult, meant to cause a mass assault, blast right through the massive walls of any castle that wants war." And he fired it, and it was loaded. Little mishap by the prop department. We still see that today in Hollywood. But yeah, the boulder just bombarded right through the audience. And that slanted part of the Colosseum we see, that's from the boulder. Just, you gotta separate artists. You keep them in the category. They should have just let Da Vinci tinker with his toys, you know? Let him do what he's good at. Mushrooms and cactus are nature's phalluses. You can get poked and poisoned by them and cry about it, or you can pick the right ones and get completely ziggity zoodad off of them. And it's not gay. Maybe if you ingest them through the rectum, I spit red rum, I reject bums with my left thumb. Watch out, Earl Sweatshirt. You know we canceled Pluto because it didn't meet the standards of an average planet. I think we canceled Pluto because Jupiter was insecure. It's like we get rid of the little guy, but we advocate for the plus size thing that's not even a planet. It looks like a damn ball of gas with a vagina on it. It doesn't even have land. You could fall right through it. It's like a layered fart that happens to look like a caramel dessert. It just doesn't fit the description of a healthy role model for the other planets, I don't believe. Windshield's all fogged up. Have you ever seen the Titanic? You know, a mule is a hybrid from a donkey and a horse. Doesn't seem too significant. Well, every time a mule is born, Satan gets another dimple from smiling so wide. Okay? During the birth of a mule, a portal opens up and allows dark forces to enter into our dimension, and it empowers whoever handled the conception. So like George Washington, right? He had like 60 mules. And this is what allowed him to cross the Delaware River so confidently. And it's...
Hey, excuse me. Hello?
Here,
Hey,
take my hat. Spread the truth.
excuse me, sir.
Tell everyone about the Ark of the Covenant.
I got a question for
And
you.
hey, we're all a little gay. We all have it.
Hello, sir.
Just embrace it. You live in a simpler time.
Where'd he go? Hey, you in the back seat. I'm trying to find a Taco Bell that's open. They're always closed. They say they don't have enough workers, but I think that's bullshit.
Did you know that people evolve faster in colder climates? Fear of the winters made it so that they built like big structures and stuff. And then tropical islanders stayed the same for like thousands of years because they were comfortable. They had everything they needed. So discomfort is a motivator. So what you can do next time you're unmotivated, if you're straight, go to a gay bathhouse. You get a little uncomfortable. And, you know, works like a charm. I do it every time I get writer's block. When I'm working on my novel, I do it like 3 to 4 times a week. Helps out. I also do it every time I get in an argument with my wife and I can't think of a clever comeback. Just gay bathhouse. It helps you if you're unmotivated to work out too. You go over there and you look at all the dudes and their bodies. And if someone tells you to breathe through your diaphragm, that is a dead giveaway that is a reptile person. We breathe through our nose and our mouths, like the good Lord intended. I don't know what a diaphragm is, but we did not have them growing up. If people are born with something other than their nose and mouth that they can breathe through, then that's an obvious sign of the spawn of Satan. Did you know that the moon landing video was faked to cover up the real one? The authentic footage was too explicit for the public eye. In the real one, the moment that Neil Armstrong jumps off of that lunar module, he gets a boner so big it breaks through his spacesuit. You know, the gravity on the moon, or lack thereof, acted as a natural Viagra times 10. And they didn't think about this pre-trip. Buzz Aldrin played the flute, right? And he goes to grab his flute, thinking that he can play it and charm Neil's snake to get back in his basket. But the same thing happens to him. So they're just out there losing their minds, spinning in circles, bouncing around, trying to get their dicks under control, right? And it's just not happening. Eventually, their bodies went into fight or flight mode because their suits were running out of oxygen. All the blood went from their things back into their brain, and they made it back to the module safely. They got real lucky because God ain't got your back on the moon. He ain't watching you out there. His intentions were for us to stay right here, going to the moon. That's like going outside the map in spectator mode. You know what's ironic is when Captain Cook landed in Hawaii, he called it the Sandwich Islands, right? And then he became one, a sandwich. They ate him. We ate him. If you consider that 10% Hawaiian in you to actually be validated. But I'm sure cannibalism is rooted deep in everybody's ancestry. But for us, it was only 300 years ago, bro. Give me some.
Hey.
Yeah,
You guys talking about eating Captain Cook?
you're right there eavesdropping the whole time?
Yeah, cause you're spreading misinformation, cuz.
What are you talking about?
We never fucking eat Captain Cook, bro. That's a myth, cuz.
Oh, man.
It was just the way we prepared his body for, like, tradition, man. We went cook him and gave him back to the British. They thought we ate him.
Wouldn't it be kind of cooler if we did eat them, though?
Fuck, Raja. Probably would have made for some better jokes, too.
Would have made for some better jokes.
But yeah, man, learn your history. You know,
Okay.
get educated like that.
I will.
Okay, have a good day, man. Shoot.
Hey, shoot, man.
Fucking dumb Howley don't even look Hawaiian talking all that shit.
Boomer. When you date somebody, you want to make sure that they're very petite and delicate in size. Okay. You want to be able to absolutely wreck them if they ever betray you. And I don't mean betray like cheat on you. I mean like if they ever conspire against you to plot your downfall. You know, perhaps sell you out for a bit of gold. You want to be able to knock the wind out of them so hard that every ship with a sail in a 1,000-mile radius has to reroute its ship. Think about it. You'll understand when you're older and you don't take my advice. Gotta respect women. I know they can be difficult. We gave them the sewing machine and they still complain about everything. But they're strong. They deserve respect. You remember when you helped me change the oil on the truck a couple weeks ago? How tedious and messy it was? Women have to do that every month. They have to change their oil every month. They have to count the mileage, check off the whole list. Goes back to Adam and Eve. Plot had something to do with a serpent and bad fruit. Why Uncle Jesus would put bad fruit and a verbal serpent in the same tree? Sabotage. Gotta have an antagonist. Did you know that Mount Rushmore was considered a sacred place to the Native Americans? And now it's like the gayest historical art piece of all time. They did it to like rub it in the Native Americans' faces. But I think they kind of went overboard with the gay. Look at Lincoln. He's like, not me. Not me. Crazy, huh? Did you know your great-great-great-grandfather was a Zeppelin pilot? He was so proud of it, too. Meanwhile, Grandma was sleeping with all the jet fighter pilots. Real men. That's actually where referring to a specific group of people using pronouns they and them originated from. When jet pilots spoke of Zeppelin flyers, they never said he. They just said them because they were not seen as a part of them. And this is why foreigners have a hard time with English. Okay, what does this guy want?
Oh, can I spare some change?
Most certainly.
Oh, right on, lad. Thank you. God bless you. Is this your car?
Yes?
What is it, a Kia?
No?
Fuck, might as well be, bruh. This thing's one piece of shit, bruh. If I had this car, I would just set them on fire. You should go get on Toyota, bruh. That's what I would do if I had a house.
Okay.
You know?
Well, thanks for sharing your financial expertise.
Oh, yeah, anytime, bruh. Okay, have a good day.
Yeah. You ever wonder where the American accent comes from? It was originally believed that the founders of the New World were so bitter towards the British that they just ditched the accent, you know. They tried to make their own language, but they got lazy and realized how hard that was. But the reality of it is that they just stopped drinking tea. See, what happens when you drink as much tea as the British, it numbs a part of the brain. You know, the neurons that help you pronounce words. So you end up mispronouncing vowels, even skipping over certain letters. You end up talking like this. You know, it's the equivalent of a mini stroke. I would know. I've had like 5 ischemic strokes due to alcohol withdrawal. Never quit cold turkey. Either you taper off or you microdose heroin. You know, apparently you can call space a vacuum, but you can't call a vacuum a space. I tried the other day at the Target store. I asked the worker, in which aisle may I obtain a space? She just looked at me and couldn't comprehend my intellectuality. You know, I like to use different words than the common folk. Synonyms, they just come naturally. That stroke of genius actually runs in our family. And later in life, you'll realize that people are going to treat you different just because they can't fathom our gift. We could stoop down to their level, make things a little easier, perhaps even walk out the store with a vacuum. But I say we don't give up. I say we take pride in our blessing of sharp-wittedness. AC's not working. Perhaps I need to acquire a new method of transport. We'll just say we need to buy a car when we get to the dealership. Just for today. Just this once. We'll give the world a pass. Atlantis was a shithole. Everyone keeps talking about it like it's the greatest undiscovered ancient civilization and we need to find it. The hell we need to find it. That place stinks. It was literally a shithole. They had the most advanced plumbing of their time. They got so cocky about it that they just kept adding plumbing where they didn't even need it. They just kept building pipes for shit to run through. they even got racist towards like other cultures that would come to visit. They'd be like, "Oh, look at this guy, he still shits in the woods. Gross." The term porcelain throne, that came from the king of Atlantis, because his throne was a toilet. He would give orders to people while he was on the shitter. Those dirty Atlanteans, they got what was coming to them. One day, the plumbing just busted. Ruptured pipes everywhere. Shit just flooded the streets. A mile high. Nobody made it out. And then the sun just dried up all the shit and turned it to sand. So it's probably out in the desert somewhere. Nevada, perhaps? Probably right underneath Las Vegas. That shithole. That's a cataclysmic event waiting to happen too. Las Vegas. To hell with Atlantis. Fuck 'em. You want any rice? Here. Don't be shy. Suit yourself. World without rice? I don't want to be a part of it. Those gray aliens come and decide to finally abduct me. Cool. They don't have any rice on board. They can catch these fucking hands. I'm murking each and every one of them. I could take them too. They're very petite and delicate in size. You hear that, you fragile, big-headed bastards? Better start picking rice. All that advanced technology, they should be able to just pull it out of thin air. Medium grain. White rice, medium grain. No substitutes either. No noodles. No mashed potatoes. You want anything? Did you know our ancestor invented the towel? Was your grandma's grandma, because grandma's grandpa always dried off with the blankets. See, back then, after you took a bath, you were supposed to just wait it out, like air dry. But see, grandpa was a menace and a trailblazer. See, after he took a shower, he would just hit the bedspread and just sort of roll around, because he was like, I pay the bills, I got shit to do, I'm not gonna waste 15 minutes depending on the weather to dry off. It's bullshit. So the bed was always damp. It eventually started growing mildew, and it drove grandma crazy. She would always yell at him, please stop drying off on the bed, there's fungus on the sheets. Fungus, Scott. And he didn't listen. And he had already had respiratory issues, so he died from breathing in the spores. Death by mildew. Fungus took him out. So because of that, grandma knitted the precious absorbent rag that we call a towel, so nobody else would have to go through that pain. It's fucked up. We got the towel out of it though. Trauma creates beautiful things. Right, he's still driving this Ford. It's a company truck. It's a company truck. Bro, I'm so sick and tired of all these people complaining about the volcano and the air pollution coming from it, and it's making them get itchy eye and runny nose, and the island looks so ugly now because the sun is blocked out from the fog. You know what, bro?
Yeah.
I get one solution.
What's that?
What's that thing? It's like a bus, but it flies.
Airplane.
Airplane. And where the airplane stay?
Airport.
Airport. We still get one airport over here.
Yes.
Okay, so pack up all this shit, put them in one suitcase, ship the rest of the shit out through FedEx. We still get FedEx over here.
Yes.
Ship out the rest of the shit, go to the place with the flying buses,
Airport.
go to the airport, get on the airplane, and get the fuck out of here. Nobody even like you here anyway. Leave. Bro, I tell you.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Hey, could I hit your vape? I'm the opposite of parched. Remember when we did that thing with Grandma's toothbrush during the pandemic? And she got real sick? Well, she's still sick. She still has it. And she's still mad at us. Weak. But anyway, I figured I'd write her a song to make her feel better. And we'll say it's from you since the toothbrush thing was your idea, you sick ass. But anyway, the lyrics are pretty deep. They're very metaphorical. They're not very straightforward, so you really have to listen.
Grandma, I'm so sorry. I gave you COVID. Grandma, I'm so sorry. I guess it wasn't fake after all. No.
I think it's a certified pandemic banger. I think she'll like it. Did you know that foreskin lint was a delicacy in Atlantis? It wasn't an Atlantean New Year's Eve without foreskin lint. See, throughout the year, they would just have the townspeople sort of clean themselves, but then keep the stuff, you know? And on New Year's Eve, they'd set up like a long table with a long sort of cake-looking thing. But it wasn't cake. Wasn't cake. It was... Do I need to say it again? This is another contribution to their downfall. Ungodly Atlanteans. Trash. You know, we're the rightful inheritors to a cave out in the valley somewhere. Not just any cave. It's like an ancient trap cave. Our ancestor who lived in it had the best Hawaiian rosewood seed, which was like acid for the Hawaiians. And the Kamehamehas referred to him as some sort of shaman, but really, he just liked to take rosewood and trip balls and party. The king and his men would frequent this cave so much, and they'd come out in British attire. They'd go in malos, the traditional Hawaiian garb, and get so blasted they'd come out looking like Captain fucking Crunch. They entered like a parallel universe or something. Something to do with taking the rosewood and the position of the cave being aligned with Andromeda. It's crazy. I bet that's where the Ark of the Covenant is today. That's our cave, and we're gonna get it back. You see, being partially native, we have rights to things that others don't. And we're lucky we're mixed, because we get to cherry pick our ethnicities and say to hell with the bad ones. Good thing we're not Atlantean, though. Every day I wake up, I praise God for that. And I suggest you do the same. That's the missionary blood in me talking. We want to rebuke that. Strangest thing I've seen in the sky? Double HABs. Hippies in hot air balloons. And that was back when I worked at Groom Lake, Area 51. The hippies would come in air balloons to look at what we're doing. And they thought they were innocent. And because they were in a balloon, they thought they were safe. They weren't. They weren't safe. Rice? Didn't think so. That's why I brought you a tomato. So, back when I was young, I wasn't too worried about getting a job because in 2011, one night I was drinking vanilla extract and I had received a signal from Zeta Reticuli, and I had interpreted this signal as, hey, we're coming soon, the world's gonna change forever, don't even trip over a job, So I believed them, and I thought, why get a job when any day they're gonna come down, the gray guys are gonna take me with them, and I'm gonna sell space dope or teach them baseball, whatever they want, and it'll be that. And they never came, and that's okay. I'm still waiting. However, I do have a job, and anybody can get a job now. Now is the best time. Everybody's hiring. You can be whatever you want right now. You can be a FedEx driver, USPS. You can just put a dream board on your wall and throw a dart. Walk into the place of business wherever the dart landed and tell them, hey, you need workers? I am here to provide you a service. It took your mom about 9 months to have you, right? See, you marinated a little too long. That's why you're sensitive to the elements. It should take only about 3 months tops. It's just laziness. And they say, I'm just unmotivated. No, it's pure laziness. Maybe if she didn't sleep in every day, then it would have sped things up and you would have been born proper. When you're in that position, you gotta set your alarm, wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, set your goals, get things done. See, and you're a Capricorn too, because of that. That's on your no good procrastinating mother. If it craved it, I would be kind of weirded out. And plus, I only go about once a day and sometimes not at all. So I wouldn't be able to consistently provide it that service. If it despised it, I'd feel kind of bad. But, it didn't ask to be a toilet. But I didn't ask to be white or Hawaiian and Chinese. But because of that, I got things to do. I have ancestral duties that need to be fulfilled every day. I wake up, it's a nightmare. I'd prefer if it despised it. I don't feel comfortable driving until this rain clears up. Plus, I think that microdose from earlier, I think the orange juice amplified it. I didn't think that went through. Why didn't you say something? Oh shit, it's expired too. Nice. Okay. Well, we're not drunk driving. Unless that shit started fermenting already. Don't you go watch the news. You worry about things that affect you. And even then, you can't change everything that affects you. For example, something very important to me, the peanut butter to jelly ratio of an Uncrustable. Am I gonna write Congress about this? No, probably not. Could they use a little more jelly? Yes, but I'd like to assume the professionals at the peanut butter and jelly factory have a reason for the way that it is. Perhaps adding more jelly could lead to the Uncrustable leaking and the bread getting all soggy. Therefore, I will not make the call and put them out of business. Do I think about this every time I have an Uncrustable? Does it upset me that with every bite I take, it pushes whatever jelly's inside to the very back, so I don't feel like I've had any jelly until the very last bite? Yeah, I'm a tad bit pissed off about it, but I'll still buy them. I'll still give them my business because I'm not going to remove the dictator from leadership just so that some peanut butter jelly ISIS can rise up and fuck up the whole shit. I don't think I can pick you up anymore. You want to go to the beach and play hermit crab landlords? That's where we evict hermit crabs from their shells if they haven't paid rent. You take a lighter and you heat up the shell, and they just run out butt naked. You can tell by the way that they run that they were up to no good. Nobody ever taught me how to surf. You know your great-great-great-grandfather was an alcoholic cobbler? Not like a rum cake, but like he made shoes and he had a drinking problem. And he swore his alcoholism never interfered with his work, like he was functioning. But every once in a while, well, more than often, he'd make a pair of the same foot. And every time he did this, he would just gift it to family and hope nobody would notice. But they noticed, and they just had to suck it up and wear them anyway because it was a gift. You had to. Eventually, word got out that our family walked a little funny, 2 left feet and all. They'd point in the halls of school and be like, "It's the Baby Deer Brigade." Call them names and stuff. They'd be walking. How old are you now? So you should be feeling that slight pain in your right foot. You know what that is? That's your right foot trying to turn into a left one. Because evolution, it's our heritage. Like, we're supposed to have 2 left feet after going through all of that. I'm sorry to tell you, the pain only gets worse. The only thing you can do is put on 2 left shoes. Family curse. You ever pop a stiffy around the house cat? Not because of the cat. If that's the case, you got some demons. And I'm working on something for stuff like that. It's like a fire extinguisher, but for poltergeists instead of flames. Anyway, when you pop one in the same room as the cat looks in your direction, right? That's because their eye whiskers act as little receivers that pick up on intense things like boners, migraines. I heard even when a papaya turns orange, they can sense it. That's if you live in a zone that bears tropical fruit close to the equator. Not Ecuador, equator. Ecuador is a country. Equator is a long, invisible line that Ecuador happens to be sitting on. Baffles me that the 2 words are so similar, almost like brothers. If the mom was a country and the dad was a fake warm line. Ecuador, Equator. See, we crack codes when we have these conversations. You don't do that anywhere else. You know, the dinosaurs went extinct because they couldn't come to a mutual agreement about which gender dino could lay an egg. The dinos that always laid eggs, they retired. They said, "Okay, go lay egg then." Lay egg then actually became like a diss in the dino community. It was kind of like, piss off, go fucker, go lay egg then. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited. Eventually they all starved to death. And all the male dinos developed fatal hemorrhoids from pushing so hard to try to make a imaginary egg come out. Sad. Extinction. That's what happens when you argue over dumb shit. Ran out of rice. I'm not one to settle for the usual substitutes. Quinoa? Quinoa can go and argue over which gender can lay an egg. They can go extinct. Quinoas. So, the reason my voice is like this is because after I retired from working at Groom Lake, Area 51, I was very loud about the operations that were being done there. And so one day when I was getting ready to go to my normie job, the moment I walked out of my house, a van rolled up and guys in masks came out and just took me and threw me in. And they performed a sort of vasectomy before my vocal cords. They figured that if I talk like this, nobody would listen to me. So it's kind of an honor because they did the same thing to Bobby Kennedy Jr. So I'm practically related to the Kennedys now. But they don't return my calls. I tried to invite them over for Chinese New Year. Nothing. I was really looking forward to eating wontons and discussing the moral compass of Dr. Fauci. I got Bobby's wonton right here. Sorry, Bobby. It's too late. Maybe we can get together for Cinco de Mayo. You ever notice how perfectly spherical rabbit poop is? What does that tell you about planets? Is there some sort of giant mystical lagomorph just hopping around shitting out celestial bodies? Celestial lagomorph. A lagomorph is the family of animals that a rabbit belongs to, though it's easy to mistake them as rodents. I've known that for a while, though. I didn't just learn it for this conversation. So, itchy scrotum is actually an opportunity presented to us by nature to practice resisting instant gratification. Every time you give in to the itch, you're setting yourself up for failure of your long-term goals. Every itch is a distraction and a setback. You should only itch once a year. You can make it part of your New Year's Eve ceremony. Get the whole gang to get in on it. It feels better that way. Chinese New Year doesn't count though. Once a year, pick one. Thought I got the ones without shells on them. But that would go against everything I just said. Great things require patience. But I don't think any amount of patience is going to make these generic pistachios taste any less like ass. Good and gather. Hey Target, why don't you focus a little less on making shirts for gay dogs and a little more on your pistachio game? For Pete's sake. Forgive me, Pete. Not Catholic. Just OCD sometimes. If I was king of America, I would install a moat around the White House. It would have prevented, that thing from happening about 2 years ago. These geniuses in Congress, man. You mean to tell me when they put in that little fountain out front, the thought of a moat didn't cross their minds? Sure, it would be unsterile, and Biden's runny shit would just be floating through it, but that's compound defense 101. You know what it is? It's too much pride. A moat is too British. God forbid our defense tactics resemble anything from the country that our forefathers fled. They're scared if they install a moat, next thing you know, we're gonna spell color with a U in it. Color. Yeah, I guess I kinda get it now that I thought about that, but I think it's worth the risk. I'm getting into the moat business first thing on the morrow. Listen to me. A true redcoat. Why does that sound racist? Redcoat. Dirty redcoats. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. Someone sent me this and I'm disgusted. Apparently researchers have found what's assumed to be Atlantis out in the Sahara Desert. Sahara sounds more exotic, but we'll say Sahara because Google said that. Chances are in 2023, they're gonna excavate this thing. The Russians have a saying. It goes something like, don't touch the dog shit. Like dry dog shit when it's sitting in the yard and it's been like a week. It'll be fine, it's just gonna dry up and turn into compost. But if you go over and poke and pry at it, it's gonna stink. Well, this is dog shit on a supernatural level if they touch it. So I'm calling on everybody's help. Perhaps Elon or somebody that can work with me and maybe fly like a cement truck, but through the air, and just dump cement all over that will keep Atlantis where it needs to be. Dead. What's that? We got a call? Yeah, put him on.
Yeah, I was just calling because I took a DNA test and I'm 30% Atlantean. So I think they should
Look,
uncover
hang up.
it for my
Hang up.
heritage.
Those Atlantean voices, man. They turn your earwax into some sort of parasitic being that goes into your pineal gland and dries it out. To the listeners at home, go flush your ears out with peroxide. Dirty Atlantean sons of bitches.